Hi, my name is Noala binti Mama Ali and I'm from RCS116A.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Uzai bin Muhammad Nizam. Me and my partner Alia will be presenting for question number 5.
This is the formula to figure out total of the mean. First, we need midpoint and fx calculator from the question. How to do midpoint? First, add the numbers in first row for each column and total of it divided by 2. Do the same for the rest of each column and that's how you get the midpoint. Next, for the fx, we need to multiply frequency and midpoint. After that, total the frequency by add and do the same for fx. Lastly, just divide the total of frequency and fx. And the mean for problem 5 is 31.57. For median, we have to create another 2 column called cumulative frequency and position of data. For cumulative frequency, you have to add each frequency sequentially. And for position data, you have to arrange the started number to last number itself. Next, we have to divide the total frequency by 2, which equal to 35. And then identify which number in the range with 35 by looking at the position of data. Take the lower bounds from the in range for 35 and add it with 70, which is total frequency, and divide it with 2. The minus with 22, which is before median class number. Divide with median class frequency and times it with class size. The total is 31.8.
Now I will be explaining about how to compute the mode. So firstly I will explain on this formula. So we have the formula here, which is L plus delta 1 over delta 1 plus delta 2 times C. So L means the lower boundary of class containing mode, and delta 1 is the difference between the frequency class containing mode and the frequency class before the class containing mode. And for delta 2 means that the difference between frequency class containing mode and frequency class after the class containing mode. And for C, it means that the width of the class mode. So over on the right, we can see here I have substituted the numbers into the formula. So 30, so where I get 30 is 28 is our highest frequency. So for the lower class is 30, and that is how I got the 30. And 28 minus 16 is the delta 1 over 28 minus 16 is also delta 1 plus 28 minus 17. So 28 minus 16 is 28 and 16. So for 28 minus 17 is this frequency 28 minus 17, and times 4 is the width. So how do I get the width is, we can see if we subtract 34 and 30, we can get the size of the width. So next I have calculated 30, and I computed the item in the parentheses first. So 12 over 12 plus 11. So how I got 12 plus 11 is I finish the lower part of the division and I simplified it into 12 over 23. So after I calculated these numbers in calculator, I got the answer 32.086. So for the next one, if we have a standard of deviation, so to solve this problem, we will use this formula right here, and we need several information such as the sum of the frequency, which is I have labeled n equals 70, and the midpoint is also will be needed as I have gathered here. So I will explain a bit about the formula. The formula is 1 over n minus 1 times f times x squared minus f times x squared over n. So I substituted the number accordingly. So 1 minus 69, 1 over 69 is actually 1 over 70. 70 comes from the sum of the frequency, and from the bracket is we have 1,430,346 comes from the above formula. So as for the right, 2210 squared over 70 is from the above formula also. So I completed the one in the bracket first, and then I divided the number in the bracket by 69, and I got 19,472.074. I later then square rooted the number into 139.542. That is all. So for the last question is identify the shape of distribution. So the first step is we need to find the lower boundary of the class, because it is necessary for to make the graph later. So in the first step, from based on the graph, I subtracted the lower boundary with 0.5. So for example, and on the first row, 15 minus 0.5 is 14.5. 15 minus 0.5 equals to 14.5, just as this table says. So based on these numbers, I laid out on a graph, and I made the graph. And so on the vertical line, I laid out the age, which is we calculated just now, 14.5, 19.5, 24, and so on. And on the vertical axis, we have the frequency, 0, 5 until 30. So the second step is actually to draw the graph, and the third step is actually we have to identify the shape of the graph. So based on this shape of the graph, I can conclude that the graph is symmetrical. Thank you. That is all from me.